What would happen if the moon was made of ice cream? This question came from probably someone staring at the night sky while eating dessert. But it's a good question. What would happen if the moon was made entirely of ice cream? Let's imagine you look up tonight and see a delicious, rocky road moon. Not just coated in ice cream. No, the whole thing, all 7.35 sextillion kilograms of the moon, replaced with creamy ice cream. Now, you might think this would make nighttime a little sweeter, but actually, things would get weird and sticky very quickly. First of all, ice cream is not very strong. The real moon is made of dense rock with a solid crust and a molten core. It holds its shape because gravity compresses it into a near-perfect sphere. Ice cream? Not so much. It's soft, airy, and full of tiny air bubbles. If you tried to pile that much ice cream into a 3,400 kilometer wide ball, it wouldn't behave like a solid moon. It would start sagging, and then collapsing, and then melting. But wait, you might say, isn't space cold? Wouldn't the ice cream just freeze solid? Yes, and no. Space is indeed very cold, around minus 270 degrees Celsius. But that doesn't mean it's a freezer. It's a vacuum, and vacuums are terrible at keeping things cold. There's no air to carry heat away. So if the moon were made of ice cream, the surface would quickly start to sublimate, turning straight from solid to gas, and puff away into space. At the same time, sunlight would slam into the sunlit side of the moon, heating the ice cream rapidly. On Earth, sunlight feels warm. On the moon, there's no atmosphere to protect you. The temperature can hit 127 degrees Celsius during the day. That's hot enough to not only melt ice cream, but probably to caramelize it. So very quickly, your beautiful scoop of moon cream would become a hot, sticky, spinning glob of soup. The melted bits would form a weird, lopsided shell around a partially frozen core, and as gravity tries to hold it all together, globs of sweet moon goo would be flung off into space. Now, here's where things start affecting Earth. Our real moon stabilizes Earth's rotation. It causes tides. It pulls on our oceans with its gravity, and its presence helps keep our planet from wobbling like a spinning top. But if the moon suddenly became 100% ice cream, its mass would change. Ice cream is way less dense than rock, about 10 times less dense. So the new moon would only have about 10% of the original moon's mass. That means weaker tides. Much weaker. Beaches would barely get wet at high tide. Sea creatures that rely on tidal pools? Sorry, no more tide pools. Whole ecosystems would collapse like an overturned sundae. Also, with a lighter moon, Earth would start to wobble more. Over long periods of time, this could cause major climate shifts. Glaciers melting in one hemisphere, freezing in another. Weather going totally off script. All because someone turned the moon into dessert. Now, what if you wanted to visit this moon? Well, good luck landing. You'd be touching down on a cold, sugary wasteland that's melting in the sunlight and evaporating into space on the dark side. Your spaceship might sink into soft, half-frozen layers of fudge, ripple, and vanilla. You might try to plant a flag, and it would just flop over into a pit of rocky road. But let's say you get really ambitious. You bring a giant spoon and try to eat the moon. Well, don't. For one, the moon is big. Really big. It's about 80 times the volume of Earth's largest ice cream factory. You'd need an army of scoops, a freezer the size of a continent, and a stomach the size of Jupiter. But even worse, what happens if you eat too much ice cream? Brain freeze. And imagine a planetary-scale brain freeze. Yeah, Earth wouldn't survive that. Meanwhile, if the moon continued to melt and evaporate, it would start forming a ring around Earth, like Saturn's rings, but made of frozen sprinkles and ice cream crystals. You could look up and see rainbow-colored arcs glinting in the night sky. It'd be beautiful, also terrifying. Over time, solar radiation would break apart the chemical bonds in the ice cream. It would become a drifting cloud of frozen sugars, fats, and proteins, slowly spreading out into the solar system. Little traces of moon cream might land on Mars, or on your windshield. Eventually, the moon would be gone. No gravity to guide the tides, no lunar eclipses, no full moon nights. But no werewolves either. So, there's that. In the end, turning the moon into ice cream might sound delicious, but it would be a recipe for disaster. The tides would vanish, the climate would shift, Earth's stability would falter. And most tragically, the moon would melt away before you even got a taste. Still, if you ever do get the chance to scoop a little vanilla straight from lunar orbit, just remember to bring a spoon and sunscreen, because dessert in space, it gets complicated.